Okay. Hello, my dear students. Welcome to our English program. Sahara Rocky is going to be with you today. We are going to have Unit 9, Lesson 1 and 2. This unit entitled Build a Greener World. Build a Greener World. Look at these pictures. What do you think the photos show? Why do you think this happening? And how will this affect people? Of course, these are pictures for global warming, affecting the environment in a wrong way. All of these are disasters that happen to our environment. Before we start, I want to ask you some questions. From the title of our unit, can you guess what is it about? Before we start, greener means friendly to the environment. When you looked at these pictures, you saw the disasters that happened to our environment. So, our unit will be about how to protect our environment and keep it safe. Of course, this can be done by reducing the dangerous impact of human activities, of course. And what are the necessary steps to have sustainable materials that maintain our world? I want to ask you some questions. What are some practical steps individuals can take to contribute to building a greener world? What can we do as individuals? How can we help our environment? And what role does the government policy play in encouraging environmental conservation and sustainability? How can the government help the environment? And how can education and awareness campaigns inspire more people to focus on environmental sustainability in their daily life? How can education affect this? What solution can education provide? All of these questions we can know the answer through our unit. Let's take some vocab at the beginning. What do we mean by bamboo cup? A cup that's made from a tall, strong grass, which is highly renewable and eco-friendly. Reusable means be able to be used again. Energy-saving light bulb means a glass object that uses less electricity than usual to give light. Crops. Plants that are grown in large quantities for food. Mangrove trees. This is of course important in our unit. A small tree with roots above the ground which grows in or near the coast or rivers. Rising sea levels. This is one of the problems that our environment face. When the sea becomes higher because climate change melts the ice at the poles. Seedling. What do you mean by that? It's a small plant which has started to grow from a seed. Sustainable means causing little or no harm to the environment. It's friendly to the environment. And at last, rechargeable battery. What do you mean by rechargeable? Something that gives power to a machine and can be used again and again to continue work. Now, let's move to another point. Some synonym and antonym. Give up means stop, and the antonym is continue, restart. Reusable means recyclable, and the antonym is non-renewable or single-use. Sustainable means continuous, and the antonym, of course, temporary. Turn on means switch on, and the antonym is turn off. Protect means to save something, and the antonym is harm or hurt. Rise means increase, and the antonym is decrease. Unusual means uncommon, and the antonym is usual. Plug in means connect, and the antonym is plug out. Provide means supply or give, and the antonym, of course, is take. Now we are going to have some suffix and prefix. If the verb sustain, we add to the verb sustain APLA at the end of it. It turns from a verb into an adjective. So sustain becomes sustainable. Recharge becomes rechargeable. Reuse becomes reusable. What about the word form? If we add er at the end of it, it turns into a farmer. Environment, if we add al at the end of it, it becomes environmental. It's of course an adjective. Now we are going to have some prefix. Un, which added to the beginning of the word. Usual becomes unusual, and re, that means again, when we add it to charge, becomes rechargeable. Okay? Now we are going to have some language notes. How can we differentiate between the word paper, a paper, and papers? The word paper, when it means paper in general, it's uncountable. For example, using digital tools makes me use less paper. We mean here paper in general. A paper or papers become countable. It means newspaper. I read a paper every morning, or reading papers makes me annoyed. We have another meaning for papers, means document. Okay, provide for and provide with. What do you mean by that? Parents provide different needs for their children. So provide something for someone. I provide something for someone. What about provide with? She provides her children with what they need. Provide someone with something. So with for, we provide something for someone. And with, we provide someone with something. What about community and society? What's the difference between them? We mean by community the neighborhood we are living in and the people around us. It's a small area, of course. The community inside my town respects the elderly. We mean by it a group of people living in a particular area, of course. What about society? It's a larger one. We mean by society the whole country, Egypt as a whole, for example. For example, the new project will affect our society positively. We mean here by society, the people of a country who follow the same law. What about rise and raise? Both of them means go up and have, of course, different meaning, but here we focus on go up. The sun rises in the east. Look here, rises doesn't follow by an object. But here, if you know the answer, raise your hand. Raise here must followed by object. So the difference between rise and raise without object and raise with object that follows it. Okay, let's check these notes. Temperature in summer rises or raises? Number 2, the in Sinai is very kind to tourists, community or country? Number 3, our school provides us dots, all books every year, for or with? Okay, take your time to think. Okay, let's check our answers. Temperature rises in summer. Of course, we don't have object here, so rises. Number 2, the community in Sinai, the people in Sinai who live in Sinai, is very kind to tourists. Number 3, our school provides us with all books every year. Okay, now let's move to another point. Look at this picture. What is this plant called? What are these trees called? They are called bamboo plant. Have you ever heard about it? And how is it beneficial to our environment? Of course, we can use bamboo trees to make a lot of things, like coffee cups, forks, spoons, furniture, and clothes, and so on. Of course, this is because it's sustainable and helpful to our environment. Now, we are going to listen to an audio between Dalia and Reem talking about sustainable products and how can they help our environment. Listen.
Students' Book, Unit 9, Lesson 1, Exercise 1. Listen to Dalia and Reem. Which of the sustainable products on page 22 do they talk about?
I want to do something to protect the environment, but I don't know what to do.
That's easy. Use less plastic. My family used to get all our shopping in plastic bags, but now we use reusable shopping bags.
That's a good idea.
Also, get a bamboo coffee cup. Look at mine. You can't usually recycle the cups that you get from coffee shops. Bamboo is sustainable, so bamboo products help the environment. I've also got a bamboo toothbrush.
Wow, I like your cup. It doesn't look like bamboo.
Do you use energy-saving light bulbs at home?
Yes, we do. We didn't used to use energy-saving light bulbs, but we do now.
So do we. So you are doing something.
Okay, but I don't think I could give up my electric toothbrush for a bamboo toothbrush.
Okay. Which of the sustainable products can we listened in this conversation? What sustainable products are here? Another questions. What can we do to save energy? Try to think. They talked here about two things. We use bamboo to make cups of coffee or any other things which are helpful to our environment. We also should use energy-saving light bulbs at home, which uses little amount of electricity.
Students' Book, Unit 9.
Okay, let's move to another point. What is this picture? What are these trees? Why are so important to our environment? They are called mangrove trees. We should use, or we should have, more of them, especially in our country, Egypt. Why? Because they protect farms and communities from strong wind and storm. We have a lot of them on the coast of the Red Sea in Egypt. Of course, they stop sand from damaging the farms and buildings. Now we are going to have a passage or a text about climate change. But before we read, I want to ask you a question. What are the reasons that cause climate change? What do you know about them? What makes climate change? Of course, there are a lot of reasons that cause climate change. We are going to know one of them right now. Climate change means that many countries have more floods now because of rising sea level. Most trees and plants can't live in seawater. When seawater comes onto farms, the salt in the water kills the crops, and farmers can't grow anything for many years. So people lose their farms and their homes. However, in hot countries like Egypt, mangrove trees grow in the sea along the coast. Mangrove forests protect farms and communities from strong winds and storm. They provide homes for plants, fish, and sea animals. If there were more mangrove trees, there would be fewer floods. Now in Egypt, people are growing thousands of mangrove seedlings to plant along the Red Sea coast. The problems caused by rising sea levels could get worse if they didn't plant new mangrove forests. So, are going to plant 300,000 seedlings every year. When they grow into mangrove trees, they will protect the coast from rising sea levels. After reading this passage, these texts, after deep reading, I want you to answer these questions. You can read it again quickly. To find the answer of these questions. What does the underlying pronoun they refer to? What is the main idea of the passage, and why are mangrove trees unusual? Take your time. Okay, let's check our answers. What does the underlying pronoun they refer to? Here we have they, the first sentence, the sentence that becomes before it. The problems caused by rising sea level could get worse if they didn't plant new mangrove trees. Who are they? Now in Egypt, people are growing thousands of mangrove seedlings to plant along the Red Sea coast. So here, they refer to people in Egypt. It refers to people or the people in Egypt. What about the second one? Why are mangrove forests important? Why they are important? Why mangrove trees are important? They protect farms and communities from strong winds and storms. Also, they provide homes for plants, fish, and animals. Why are mangrove trees unusual? They are unusual. Of course, because they grow in seawater, which contains salt, of course. Now, we are going to have an exercise about vocabulary. Read and complete the text with words from the following list: levels, coastal, sustainable, affects, storms, and is affected. Climate change, dots, the environment. It causes rising sea, dots, and increasing CO2, carbon dioxide, of course. If there weren't any mangroves, there would be danger to human health and safety in dots, towns, and communities. Also, many countries would have more floods. Mangrove forests protect farms and communities from strong winds and complete. Try to think. Okay, let's check our answers. Climate change affects the environment. It causes rising sea levels and increasing carbon dioxide. If there weren't any mangroves, there would be danger to human health and safety in coastal towns and communities. Also, many countries would have more floods. Mangrove forests protect farms and communities from strong winds and storms. Now let's move to another point. It's about language. Take care. We are going to have the usage of use to. Of course, it's related to the past or past habits and routines. Look at this example at the beginning. We used to get all our shopping in plastic bags. What does it mean? Now we get our shopping in plastic bags? This sentence means that? No. It means that we no longer get all our shopping in plastic bags. We don't use them anymore. We stopped using them. What about the next example, or the second one? My grandfather used to walk to his work. Does this mean that my grandfather walked to his work? No, he stopped that. He no longer walks to his work. So we use to plus infinitive to talk about past habit or repeated action that don't exist now. I was doing something in the past and now I don't do it. Okay. So we use to talk about a repeated action in the past that has now changed or stopped. Okay. Look here. We didn't use to use energy saving light bulbs, but we do now. This means in the past we used energy saving light bulbs a lot? No, we didn't use them, but now we do. Okay, in the past, people didn't used to live in high buildings. This means that people didn't used to live or didn't live in high building, but now they do. So we use to talk about something that was in the past and it doesn't happen now or stopped now. And the contrary, something that wasn't happened in the past and it happens now. Okay, what about the questions? Question 4. Did you use to brush your teeth with an electric toothbrush? Of course, notice here we omit the because we have did. The infinitive form of use to is used to. Of course, it's followed by infinitive. Did doesn't affect the infinitive form here. It affects used to. Did they used to send emails in the past? What about WH questions? What games did you use? What games did you use to play when you were little? Used to play. Which primary school did you used to go to? This is the rule of used to. Now let's move to another point. Second conditional if. Okay, let's start with this example at the beginning. If I had more time, I would read more books. If I had more time, I would read more books. What does it mean? What does this sentence mean? It means I have more time? No. Actually, it means I don't have more money or more time. Of course, time here, so it should be time here. I don't have more time, but I wish if I had. So, second conditional if talks about situations that are possible but probably won't happen. It's impossible to happen. It's hard to happen. I don't have more time, so I can't read more books. So I wish if I had more time, I would read more books. I assume that I had time, but actually I don't have time. I wish to have time. What about this example? If there were more mangrove trees, there would be fewer floods. The question is that, are there mangrove trees now? Are there more mangrove trees now? No. No, there aren't more mangrove trees now. I wish there were. I assume if there were more mangrove trees, there would be fewer floods. So, if I want something to happen, but it cannot happen in the present, I only wish that it could be happened or would happen, I use second conditional if. If followed by past simple and second sentence, of course, would plus an infinitive. This sentence expresses something we call unreal past. This sentence expresses present, not past. So I use past simple, which is called unreal past, to talk about the present happen. Something in the present that cannot be happened. Okay. Now let's move to another point. Look at this example. If people had wings, they could fly. Do people have wings? Of course not. Can people fly? Of course not. So we use second conditional if to talk about imaginary situation. It's imagination. People do not have wings, so they cannot fly. So I assume if people had wings, they would fly or could fly. Okay. Look at this example. The problems caused by rising sea level would get worse if they didn't plant more new mangrove forest. Look here, F followed here by past simple negative sentence, of course, which didn't. And preceded by would plus the infinitive. So we can use if at the beginning of two sentences, and we use comma between the two sentences. And we can use it in the middle between the two sentences. And of course, we don't have comma here. Look at this one. They wouldn't come if they were busy. They wouldn't come if they were busy. So I used F followed by past simple, and the second sentence would plus the infinitive to talk about something that cannot be happen in the present or in the future and the imaginary situation. So hard to happen. Okay, look at this example. If you studied hard, you will do better at the exams. Correct this word. Look here. If you studied the past simple. Of course, in Unit 8, we took the first conditional if, it followed by present simple. So if this sentence followed by studies, we can use well. But here we have studied past simple. Of course, the second sentence should be would plus an infinitive. So if you studied hard, you would or could do better at the exams. Okay. We can use second conditional if also to give a piece of advice by using if I were you. If I were you, I would see a doctor. If I were in your shoes, if I were you, I would do so and so and so. If I were you, I am tired, so I advise you. You are tired, so I advise you. If I were you, I would see a doctor. If I were you, I wouldn't smoke. You are a heavy smoker, so I advise you. If I were you, I wouldn't smoke. Here, it equals you should stop smoking. Okay. What about this one? If he were rich, he would buy a car. Of course, this is not a piece of advice here. But notice the usage of were. We use were with singular pronouns and singular nouns. In second conditional if, it's formal to use were with all the pronouns, not was. When you talk about something that cannot happen, something impossible to happen, we should use were in the sentence that followed if. If he were, if she were, if they were, if I were. And second sentence, of course, would be would plus an infinitive. Okay. Now look at this example. Complete the sentence with the correct form of the words in brackets. If I were Tariq, if I were in his shoes, I would doing exercises to be fit. Would doing, how come? Would followed by the infinitive form. So I would do some exercises. Or I would do exercises to be fit. Actually, we can use second conditional if with another word instead of would. We can use could, which means would perhaps. Look at this example. If he knew about the problem, he could share in solving it. Could share here means perhaps he would do so. We can omit could and use perhaps he would share. So when the sentence means perhaps he would do something, we can use could. Another example. If Sammy had free time, he could go to the beach or the club. Perhaps he can go. Or he would go. Perhaps he would go. Could here equal would go. Perhaps he would go. Okay. What about another usage of this case? We can use might instead of would. If we aren't sure about something, if you are not sure about something, we can use might in second condition instead of would. If would followed by perhaps, possibly, probably, we can use might instead of it. Look at this example. If I had enough money, I would perhaps buy a new house. Instead of would, perhaps, you can use might. If I had enough money, I might buy a new house. So it's clear here. Another usage, we could use could, which means would be able to. Would be able to, we can omit it and use could. Look at this example. If she had played well, if she played well, she would be able to join the team. Would be able to join the team. And instead of would be able to, we can use just could. If she played well, she could join the team. So we have a lot of usage for the second conditional if. Number one, we talk about imaginary situation. We talk about impossible events that cannot be happen in the present and we wish to happen. We can use it to give advice. Of course, we can exchange would with could or might. Okay. What about the question 4? If I want to make a question using second conditional if, which sentence should be the question? Of course, the sentence that not the main clause. Sentence that is the main clause. If followed by sentence and preceded it another sentence. What is the main clause or what is the main sentence? Of course, the sentence that include would. The sentence after if is not the main clause. Of course, we will work on the main clause. So we will use would to make a question. What would you do if you travel to space? Of course, I can start with if you travel to space, what would you do? Where would you go if you had a lot of money? Of course, I can start with if you had a lot of money, where would you go? Okay. Another one. If you had more free time, where would you go? What about yes, no? Question 4. If he invited you, would you come? Or would you come if he invited you? Of course. Now we are going to practice. Complete the sentence with the correct form of the words in brackets. Number 1. We use waste water, but now we try to save water. Number 2. She would travel all over the world if she be rich. Of course, we should correct it. In the past, people not use energy-saving light bulbs. Number 4. I not have an electric toothbrush, but now I have got one. Number 5. He pass the exam if he studied hard. I used to live in a flat when I was a child. Number 7. Does he used to play golf when he was young? Number 8. If have his number, I would call him. They both use the have short hair. Number 10. If be you, I wouldn't go out without a coat. It's cold. 11. He used to be fat, but now he's thin. So now he's thin. So before he was what? If we not be friends, I would be angry with you. 13. I used to have long hair when I was a teenager. When I was. So the sentence here should be what? If I had enough money, I buy a big house. We have had here, past simple. So what should we have here? The last one, she used to love eating chocolate, but now she, what? I will give you your time to think. Try to think. Okay, let's check our answer. Number one, we use wastewater, but now we try to save water. Of course, we used to waste water in the past, but now we don't. But now we try another thing. We try to save it. In the past, I used to do something, but now I don't. We used to waste, but now we save. Number two, she would travel all over the world. If she, of course, we have here would plus an infinitive. So the sentence after F should be past. If she were rich. We can use here, of course, was, but formally we use were. In the past, people not use energy saving light bulbs. Of course, the negative if you use to, didn't use to. So in the past, people didn't used to use. All right, number 4. Need to have an electric toothbrush, but now I have got one. Now I have got one. So I didn't have one before. So I didn't used to have. I didn't used to have an electric toothbrush, but now I have. I have one. Number 5. He passed the exam if he studied hard. If followed by past simple here, studied. So we should have here would or could. He would or could pass the exam if he studied hard. Or even might, if you are not sure. I used to lived in a flat when I was young. Of course, used to followed by the infinitive form. Base form. Does he used to play golf when he was young? Of course, we have when, conjunction when, and we have past. If we have past after the conjunction, the second sentence should be past. So instead of does, we use did. Did he used to play? Of course, this is used to. Should ask with did. Number 8. If have his number, I would call him. We have here would. So we should use past after if. If I had. Sorry, في هنا مفروض يبقى في هنا I. If I had his number, I would call him. Of course. Number 9. They both have short hair. Of course, we should use to. They both used to have short hair. Now, of course, they have long hair. If you, I wouldn't go out without a coat. It's cold. If I were you. This is the piece of advice. Number 11. He used to be fat, but now he is thin. Of course, we should use to talk about the past habit here. He was, or he used to be. Of course, we have here be, infinitive of verb to be, because we have an adjective here, fat. So now he isn't. Take care. Used to be, but now he isn't. Used to play, used to swim, used to eat, but now he doesn't. Number 12. If we not be friends, I would be angry with you. If we weren't friends, I would be angry with you. Number 13. I used to have long hair when I was a teenager. Of course, I used to have long hair when I was a teenager. Now I use short hair. Number 14. If I had enough money, I would buy a big house. Of course, I don't have enough money, so I couldn't buy a big house. So I dream that if I had enough money, I would buy a big house. Number 15. She used to love eating chocolate, but now she doesn't, of course. She used to love eating it, but now she stopped. She doesn't eat it anymore. Okay, this is the end of our episode today. Thank you for listening. I hope you get benefit well. See you next time. Bye.